It's the future, don't hit the snooze. AI is here giving humans the boost. Team Humans rolling, brains in the game with Dan Turchin. Y'all remember the name. People laying in the mix, no stopping the flow. Better work, better life, yeah, we're ready to go. Robots and humans, a collab, you know. Okay, let's start the show.
It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to AI in the Future of Work. We are obviously recording from HumanX, where there's a bunch of background noise, but we will persevere. Let's hear a little bit about your background, how you got into the space and leading up to Operative.
It's great to be here. Great to have a chance to chat with you. I started out studied journalism and electronics engineering. I worked for NPR in Washington, for Lucasfilm, for Disney Imagineering, and then left Disney, started some companies, a company called GameWorks with Spielberg and Sega team from Japan. So some other startups in the middle of that. It sold the last of those and went back to Disney the second time as the head of research and development there. So broad history in sort of media and invention. Always kind of just always seemed to be somewhere near the cutting edge of tech and thinking of new ways to entertain people. That's kind of a fun thing for me.
We share a common passion.
Yeah.
What's the approach that you're taking at Operative?
The approach is that it really starts for me at Disney. At Disney, I got to watch the animation teams create features up close, really close, literally sitting next to character leads as they're sketching and inventing a character. And it was just amazing to me that they were creating these beings that resonated with so many people, just so powerful. And yet they were completely synthetic. Every part of them was done by the artist. The artists decided how they look, how they sound, what their voice is, how they moved, their history, their future, their hopes, dreams, all of that comes from the artist. And, it's not a big leap when you're sitting there looking at that thinking, what if you could build a world filled with these characters made with that level of emotional fidelity that really felt, while they didn't look real, they felt real, and jump in there and hang out with them. And so that's what this work is. When I was at Disney in research and development, we did a lot of work on storytelling, different kinds of storytelling, all sorts of permutations on that. And when large language models came out, Disney Research, one of the groups that I led, was very early to that party, and we found that we could generate dialogue live, conversationally. And so with that, I realized I think it's time to go do this thing that I've been dreaming of forever, which is to create a storytelling system. And in my case, we work with screenwriters, accomplished big name screenwriters. We cast the voices, and then we hire a voice actor to read for us, and we clone their voice. We pay them for that. It's a thing that it's a normal business relationship, and we're able to create these characters that, like the Disney characters, hopefully feel real, feel emotionally real. They don't necessarily look photorealistic, but they look real. And in our case, it's kind of crazy. They all have phones. They all live kind of in our world. And so we imagine that they're out there somewhere, they're doing what they do. They have phones. You can call them on the phone, literally call them up. They answer, hey, how you doing? Like you, if I call you tomorrow, it's not like you're sitting there waiting for me to call. You're living your life and everything. And the same thing with them. They're busy people. They have lives to lead. So you can do phone calls, Zoom calls, where you're face to face with them. You can send them texts. They'll send you pictures. And this particular story is one in which something terrible has happened in this company that nobody understands. They think there may be a spy, maybe. They're just not sure what's happening. And they need someone from outside the company to be like a neutral third party to help them figure it out. And you've agreed to help them. So that's where you join the story. And so everyone's equal. Nobody knows what's going on. The player, obviously they don't know what's going on because they just started. But the game characters, they don't know either. It's things from the outside are attacking their company. And so you and they together have to figure all this stuff out. And so in some situations, a character might say, hey, listen, I'm in a crime scene. I'm going to send you a bunch of pictures. I have to leave because the police are coming, but let's get on the phone. So later you get on the phone with him and you're talking with this guy, and both of you are looking at these pictures on your phones, trying to figure out, zoom in on the coffee table. Is that blood? I think that's blood. What happened here? What's going on? And is that a note? There's a note there. Let's see. Oh, there's a phone number. You should call that. Call that number. Let's see what happens. So you call a number, and it turns out there's a guy saying, how'd you get this number? And so something that starts out as just a phone call kind of explodes into this spy thriller over time. It's episodic, 12 episodes, like a TV show. You buy it, you subscribe to a series. Each episode's about an hour and a half of gameplay. And we think that's, one of the many futures of video games. It's a new way to play.
Fascinating. So real time, multiplayer, adaptive.
Well, it's single player.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. This particular one is single. We'll do multiplayers in the future.
So that episode is specific to me, the player.
Yes.
And potentially in the future, it could be a collaboration.
Yeah, we built prototypes of multiplayer things too.
Okay, so here we are at HumanX, and you and I both celebrate the craft and the art of storytelling. This event is all about AI doing things that humans have historically done in the physical world. How do I tell this community that the AI that was trained on the same data is not going to homogenize the beautiful, millennia-old craft of storytelling?
Well, I was at Disney when the Pixar deal was signed. And it was, for a lot of people, it was heresy. This idea of those cold computers making art, that's no, we don't do that. We make art with pencils. And it is sad that we don't do more hand animation, because that was beautiful, beautiful work. But in fact, it turned out that it was storytelling. It was the same thing. It was the same process. We're creating characters. We're moving them through space in natural, real ways. And I think this will be a little like that. I mean, certainly there's going to be, that was a traumatic disruption. There are many people that just, I have a friend that was a character lead, and she just said, this doesn't feel like animation to me. I'm going to quit. So she quit the company. But many made the jump and became CG animators. And I guess there'll be some of that here. There are people who will be displaced. Absolutely. I have kids that are entering the job market. So that's a thing that's very much on my mind. But in addition to that, there will be new opportunities, and there will be new ways to express yourself that will be lower friction than before. And I think that the magic here, there are people who say that, now that AI is here, we're all Michelangelo. And that's absurd. We're not. We're still who we were. We're just who we were 2 years ago. We just have a new tool. And that tool will amplify whatever we have to say. And if we have nothing to say, it will amplify nothing. But imagine what Michelangelo could do with these new tools. It would be mind-boggling. And I think we'll see a new set of Michelangelos emerge that will use these tools in breathtaking ways that we can't even imagine. And I think that will happen. Now, that's not to downplay the disruption and the pain that a lot of people are going to feel. And that's very real, and one that I wish we were thinking harder about.
I think the Pixar analogy, which we both lived through that, breaks down in that I remember seeing early versions of, I think it was called RenderMan. I think that was their software. Animate how fur would blow in the wind and grass, and it was mind-boggling. But nobody questioned the future of humans. Right? It was just amazing things that we could now do in software, and that software is being written by humans, and this is different. Because every aspect of the storytelling process, the the voice actor. We can reanimate dead people. Everything feels like it's being disrupted.
Mhm.
What's your sense of knowing what you know about how disruptive this can be, and also what new capabilities will emerge from it? What do you say to the people who look at the industry and say it's the death of the entertainment industry?
I think that I will stick with, certainly in the midterm, we're going to see a new generation of storytellers that use this technology in remarkable ways. If everyone can do something, if everyone can write a one sentence prompt and tell me a story, that becomes sort of the background noise. But there will be these remarkable things that stick up out of that background noise that are done by people who emerge that have a unique voice and a unique ability that's fine-tuned to what that does. Now, long term, I don't know. I mean, maybe our brains are going to be augmented by silicon and we will merge with machines, and I don't know, we can get as sci-fi as you want. I mean, because there are, it sort of explodes, the possibilities explode. And I'm not sure. I mean, it's, there's a layer of politics that is a very real thing, that somehow our heads are very much in the sand about what should we do about this, and what, and I don't have a definitive answer, except to say that I think we'll be surprised at the emergence of people who are fine-tuned, who, every time you set up a new world, a new order happens, and the people who are really good at something kind of rise to the top, and people that are kind of in the middle stay kind of in the middle. And I think we will see an emergence of a new class of creator that we hadn't seen before.
It's hard to not have this conversation without talking about the ethical obligation that we have as, the ones who are telling this stories and engaging new users, and potentially threatening, some traditional fields of work. One of the questions I have for you is these, whether you want to call them avatars or digital beings, could potentially confuse users into thinking that they're interacting with humans, and that could have all kinds of weird ramifications.
Yeah.
How do you think about that as the creator?
When you read a book, a book might have been written by somebody that died 100 years before you were born. Somehow you read that book and you still feel those emotions that artist programmed into those words, and for a moment it becomes real, and you're just immersed in it. And I think we're going to see a level of immersion with this that is unprecedented. And there are people who will dive in deep, and we see inklings of that in the world today. Go to Comic-Con. It's there's a whole world of people that love to just dive into those worlds and live them. And it borders on unhealthy, but probably most of that is pretty just great fun. In this new world, the idea of having emotional needs provided by machines is sort of a notion that we're not ready for as a society, and yet we're barreling into this madly. In what we're making, it's very clear that this is entertainment. When we're watching the movie Toy Story, and you could pause the film and ask anyone in the theater, do you believe that Buzz Lightyear is a real person? No one believes he's a real person. I think that there will be cases in the future where people will allow themselves to believe that this is kind of real, and that's a world I don't understand yet. It's, we'll see where it goes.
What obligations do you feel you have as the creator? You're birthing these digital stories, characters, to guardrail the technology by age, maybe by mental state. I mean, there are a variety of ways that
Mhm.
people could use the technology in unintended ways.
Yeah.
What obligations do you have to monitor that?
Well, we're building a closed system that is used by us and our partners to create stories that fit our point of view, worldview. And we're not trying to convince anyone that this is real. This is all in good fun. The stories are positive and uplifting. They're not, hurtful. And so we have a responsibility for our work. And we take that responsibility seriously. That's not to say that others won't use similar technologies to do things that are less honorable. But I do feel a real obligation, to that what comes out of our company be additive to the world.
One of the challenges just inherently with AI is that it's non-deterministic.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly as the owner of a platform, it's really hard to anticipate all of the ways that it could be used or misused, or some for good, some for bad. Do you think about that intentionally as building features in so that you can collect data, so that you can even know when a line might be breached, when you can't even contemplate in advance what the line might look like?
Yeah, we absolutely. I mean, you have to. You can't just a raw LLM is trained on humanity, and humanity has a lot of sides, some dark and some light. And if you have a point of view, you have to express that point of view. You have to kind of harness the large language model to operate in the realm that you believe you want it to. And that takes a lot of work. That's actually quite a lot of effort goes into putting up those, not just guardrails, but a center line. And so we've done that work. And so when you interact with our characters in our game, you're in a story, but it's not, and you're not really able to take it into dark places. If you attempt to, then the characters will guide you back to, just in the same way that if a person started talking to you and started kind of drifting into uncomfortable areas, you probably would say, it's cool, maybe for another time. Let's get back to what we're working on here. In in this fictional company that's in the that we're talking about, when you if you get kind of too annoying, if you start to really be one of those people that's not just testing the system but really pushing hard, you can imagine in your own company, if you had a consultant that was sort of abusive, human resources would give them a call and say, hey, we don't do that here. Either you're going to leave or you're going to stop doing that. And so you can imagine in this fictional company, an AI human resources person calling you to say, you're being kind of a butt. Stop doing that. Or you're going to have to stop the game and start over. And so we have ways that are in story to force behavior.
Yeah. In a company, as an employee, I have a contract with my employer, and in exchange for a paycheck, they can tell me what's right and wrong. I can choose to agree or not with those ethical guidelines, but in exchange for a paycheck, I agree to follow their rules.
Yeah.
You are the employer, and in that analogy, you're the employer, right? You're determining what's right or wrong in this world that you're creating.
Yeah.
How do you think about the boundaries? I mean, you have this power to say what's right or wrong for someone else. They have the power to say whether or not they want to use your games. But it's a lot of responsibility for you to be the arbiter of what's good or bad or right or wrong.
It's not unlike running. Well, I'll ask, is it different from running a movie studio where you're deciding what your films are going to be about, what your characters are going to say? That has become, in fact, controversial sometimes. There are people that
the deterministic part, right?
But not only that, I mean, people will say that, there are certain film companies that have a left-wing point of view, and you know they're not exempt either, even in today's linear world.
You're right.
And so similarly, we will have kind of code in a sense that we operate under, that we make ourselves, that
Yeah.
and that will set the bounds for the kinds of things we make. And there are people that might find that obnoxious,
Restrictive, or
and those people, will either just not buy the game, or move on. But we just take that seriously. We believe that we have a responsibility to have a point of view, that you can't accidentally discover that you don't have a point of view. You have to be mindful about that stuff.
satisfying answer. As good as you could possibly give, living within the bounds of what we do and don't know.
Yeah.
So do you think of, and I'm just getting to know Operative, the business model.
Yeah.
Do you think of it as a platform, or are you the only user of your platform producing the content on?
Yeah, it's definitely a platform, but for internal use right now.
Yeah. Okay.
At some point, we may decide to open the platform to external users. I don't think there is a real business plan there that works just yet. Even to rent it out to other game companies, it's a lot more work to document it and to do the service and all the things you have to do. And we'll get there one of these days, maybe. We're talking with one company about potentially a very limited license that we might grant, but for the moment, it's a tool set internal that allows us to do this very quickly and build the things we want to build.
And at that point, if you choose to open it up, a lot of these questions about guardrails and ethics will be a lot more real when you're not the only customer building the platform. John, this is a short conversation. We're about at a time, but before I can let you off the hot seat, I have one last very important question for you. There are people at our former employer, Disney, and at Electronic Arts and Take-Two that must be salivating at the opportunity to do something similar. How can you be so audacious as to think that you and your team can do something that, represents just a massively disruptive opportunity for any big studio?
I've many times pinched myself feeling like I'm leading someone else's life. I've been in this position several times where it's an opportunity to try something that hasn't been done before. And I will say that I truly believe, I've said this to many people, I believe that what we're doing is completely obvious, and I'm shocked that everyone's not doing this. And yet they're not. They truly are not. And when I go talk to the game studios about it, they go, "Oh my goodness, this makes my head explode. I'm not sure how to market that. I'm not sure how to, all the things that they're not sure." And I have my franchises to think about. And if I change my franchise, it disrupts everything. And so the bigger the company, the bigger the sort of handcuffs that, success sort of binds you into your point of view. And I always say that big companies, they can often have a great degree of creativity, but it's inside this tube that's bounded on all sides by the brand and the history and the opportunity and the audience. And they just don't have the freedom that a small company does to go say, "What the hell? I think we could do this. Let's go try." And you go find some investors that go, "I'm in. Let's do that." And here we are. And it's pretty fun.
Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. Great to hear the story.
Yeah, it's great to meet you too.
Yo, it's the end of the show. Time to power it down. AI's the sis, but humans wear the crown. Team Human in the house, got the vibe so clever. Dan Turchin from People Rain, making us better.
We learned about AI for humans. We're ready to conquer the future. That's all for now.
See you next time.